One.
It's apple trees, you have to say.
Apple trees.
Apple trees.
Apple trees.
Two words he knows in Turkish, but it does mean apple tree, I think. So I'll pop that there, and I'm just really delighted to be here, and I'll pass on to the next person.
But growing of many different things that we take for granted because, as John rightly said, we get all too used to buying in certain large out-of-town superstores. So this is a really important event in terms of
evidence to show that 5 apples a week make you live much longer. So if you want to get a telegram from the Queen when you're 100, eat plenty of apples.
I did when I was about 10, and those of us from Ibrox and Govan used to, in the association, used to visit people's gardens to relieve them of the kind of surplus fruit that they often had on their trees. I have to say, an incident though when I was 10 caused a disbandment. When climbing down from a tree after an irate person expressed their concern at me being in their tree, I stood on a wasp dyke and got 7 wasps up my left leg, and I therefore decided to retire from apple picking at that time. However, I still enjoy coming along and sitting and eating all these lovely apples.
Here again, I was fortunate, I said this a couple of years ago, I was fortunate this year to go down to the National Orchard in Cornwall and watch the work that's being done in terms of the National Orchard, bringing together all the varieties of apples that have been grown throughout England, Wales and Scotland, and trying to keep them in production so that we don't...
I'd like also to thank the sponsoring MSPs, the names are here. It's really nice and really important to me that it is cross-party, and I think, you know, I don't think anybody can disagree with the concept of apples, you know, in political terms. So it's really nice to have something that brings people together in that way. And equally, I'd like to thank a whole host of people who have helped today happen. It would be a bit odd to not be in Parliament today and not mention the referendum that's coming up, which I do in passing, but it's also, so it's a significant day in Parliament, but it's also a significant day for me personally in the sense it was my dad's birthday today, the 18th of September, and he inspired my love of gardening, and I think that this idea of apples being something that maybe I plant apples not really for myself but for the next generation and possibly the generation after that. And I think that that idea of doing something which has a legacy for the future is really important. And I certainly owe a lot to my dad. So, okay. Any luck? Cool. Okay. So enjoy. And I'd like to thank Rob as well. Rob's been coming to this Apple Day for several years. Yeah, and it's wonderful to have you here. So thank you very much. And in terms of St Vincent's, I worked with St Vincent's last week. Okay, rather hoping that there are some people, children's garden people. Children's garden? Jason, Margaret, where's Jason? And multitasking. And again, East Clean's a lovely project. Actually, the school was burnt down a couple of years ago, and as part of the process of the rebuild, we planted an orchard, which is again, it's really nice to get that done. So. So I've done various bits of work with Fintry Development Trust, which is Stirlingshire. It's an absolutely brilliant project, and great pleasure in making a presentation to Fintry Development Trust. For Outlands Gate, Outlands Gate's a great wee allotment site. It's quite a new allotment site, and we planted a wee orchard in there, and it's really nice. It's just by the Clyde. That's the Clyde there. In fact, there's even a rowing boat on it if you look really closely. Anyway, it's well deserved. So.
Congratulations. Thank you to John and everybody today, because it's been such an education to come from Glasgow and find that we were donated by Wardle's Rose Garden, the apple swans that William cut today, and then we found out the information. I don't know, John, would you like to read that? It's the James Grave apples, and they were actually derived from the 18th century in Edinburgh, and they've made their way to Glasgow, and we're happy to cut them up in swans today to show there's an educational thing for children also, to learn to garnish fruit, but also to make it more fun so that they'll not eat sweets as much. But it's also good for your health, because myself, I've got chronic fatigue. I found out this year that the malic acid actually balances the pH level, so it's very good in your diet, an apple a day. And thanks again, it's educational.
So it's Stroud Primary in Dunoon, folks. Can you? Also, Merle, where are you? Come into the picture. Merle, sorry. So, just to say very quickly, Merle's done an absolutely wonderful job of taking a walled garden in Ardentilly and turning it around. And Stroud have been involved in the planting of trees there and making it. So it's a lovely project. So, particularly well. So, St Andrew's Orchard Group. Do we have anyone from St Andrew's Orchard Group? Henry and St Andrew's Orchard Group have done wonderful work in making fruity and all that. So, anyway, see, apples.
I met John over in Nyler Butte when I managed a community, a very successful community project over there. And I recognised very early on that you need to go with passion, you need desire. I recognise that, you know, if you don't have the seeds, it's very, very difficult to go out there as a community project to achieve the outcomes that you've set yourself and to be sustainable. That's why I set up the coffee company, first in the UK to promote fair trade and provide funding for community groups. And I'm very passionate about this particular project because it means so much, because as has been said earlier, the elements of this work can offer so many benefits and really good benefits to our communities. In 2012 we set up an ambitious target to deliver 60 trees. Last year we went on to fund 240 trees for community projects, which was allocated to the Commonwealth Orchard. Projects from Peterhead to Moffat, Isle of Bute to the Kingdom of Fife. On our own island we have got 6 orchards. Mount Stuart's here today, and I've got representation from the other orchards, all thanks to John and his volunteers behind the scenes as well. It's about bringing communities together, and that's where our story starts, working with the groups to mentor and support, all based on a cup of coffee. None of this would have been possible without our customers and their coffee drinkers. Our educational sector, led by the University of Edinburgh and Tuco, our hospitals, our local authorities, our social enterprises and our high street. They give us back the loyalty card. You'll see there, the orchard tree there, and it's showing their social responsibility to making a difference, and that's what we collate to fund. I wish to thank the MSPs for their sponsorship for today, for John Hancox and his volunteers for aiming big, to community groups throughout Scotland, and also thanks to the customers and the trust in us as a company to make a difference in every cupful. This year, with over 3 months of the year to go, I have in front of me the review board. So far, we will be funding a minimum of 300 trees for community projects within Scotland. And that's going to make a huge difference. That takes our total up to 540. We're going to be pushing for the big 1,000 because John, the community groups, everybody deserves it. And it gives me great pleasure today to hand this cheque over to John to support him for the winter planting, which is away. Well done.